31. 1,000 types of learning. 10,000 types of learning. We must learn to be human. 1,000 types of learning. 10,000 types of learning. We must learn to be human. That is a saying by the renowned educator Dao Hong Tree. On this journey of life, we must learn to take responsibility for ourselves and treat others with sincerity. Learn to be tolerant, to respect others, and to be able to think from their point of view. Learn to be grateful for life, to preserve kindness, and to treat everyone with compassion. To live a meaningful life, one must build it on the foundation of integrity, because integrity is the measure by which a person's goodness is judged. It is also the key factor that determines a person's success or failure, and it serves as their most reliable support. Having good integrity is the greatest asset we can possess. 32. The Little Monk's Foot. During the Tang Dynasty on Mount Wutai, there was a famous Zen master named Ma Zu who loved to teach his disciples through challenging methods. One day, he used this method to help his young disciple realize a truth. One morning, Zen master Ma Zu placed a chair and sat on a narrow path behind the temple to read a book. Not long after, a little monk was pushing a cart back to the temple from the vegetable garden. Because the path was too narrow and Master Ma Zu had stretched his leg out into the middle of the path, the little monk couldn't get the cart through, so he asked his master to pull his leg back. But unexpectedly, Zen Master Ma Zu not only didn't pull his leg back, but also said, "My leg is always stretched out, never pulled back." The little monk was both stunned and a bit embarrassed, then said, "Master, if you don't pull your leg back, I can't return to the temple." Zen Master Ma Zu spoke without even looking at the little monk. "That's your problem." The little monk thought for a moment, then said, "Master, you only stretch out but never pull back, so I cannot get past your leg." "Then let's switch places. I'll sit on the chair and you push the cart." After hearing this, Zen Master Ma Zu found it quite amusing and agreed to switch places with his disciple. The little monk then stretched his leg out just like before, but when Zen Master Ma Zu pushed the cart toward him, he pulled his leg back. Zen Master Ma Zu asked, "Why did you pull your leg back?" The little monk smiled and said, "Master, you only stretch out and never pull back, but I can both stretch and pull back, so I pulled my leg back." After that, the little monk pushed the cart away, while Zen Master Ma Zu watched his disciple's figure with a satisfied smile. Many years later, Zen Master Ma Zu passed down his robe and bowl to this little monk. The little monk later became a great monk on Mount Wutai, known as Zen Master Anfang. The story of the donkey carrying the sacred relic. This is a fable by a French writer named La Fontaine and is also one of his representative works. The story is about a donkey. On the first day, it was sent by the priest to carry the sacred relic. Seeing the worshippers bowing low to the ground, the donkey seemed to feel elated and full of pride. The next day, the priest sent it to pull the millstone. Still intoxicated by the nobility of the previous day, the donkey refused to obey. Afterward, its master gave it a beating, and it burst into loud cries. At that moment, a 10-year-old child, after hearing the story, thought the donkey was truly foolish and said, "Don't forget, you're a donkey." In reality, there are many donkeys in this world who often mistake themselves for sacred relics. When they have power, they become arrogant and prideful. When they lose power, they grow discouraged, uneasy, and full of sighs. When in position, they act recklessly and with conceited superiority. When stepping down from power, their spirit collapses. A donkey is still just a donkey, and a sacred relic is still a sacred relic. Even children understand this basic truth, so why do adults remain deluded? In fact, carrying the sacred relic is like smoking opium. It can become an addiction. No matter how long the donkey gets to carry the sacred relic, the day will come when it must be taken down. Just like people in this world, who doesn't want to live in greater glory, to be revered from all directions, admired from every side? Not only do they enjoy spiritual satisfaction, but they're also provided with everything they need: food, clothing, housing, transportation, and even plenty of money. However, how is that any different from the donkey carrying the sacred relic, mistaking all that splendor as its own? Once it becomes a habit, the fear of losing it naturally arises, and life begins to feel burdensome. In truth, only our body, preferences, skills, personality, and thoughts truly exist alongside our own life. The days of carrying the sacred relic are nothing more than fleeting foam on the waves of memory, passing through the dust of time. 33. Help those in hardship, not those who are lazy. Save those in urgent need, not those who are poor. When others fall into difficulty or urgent trouble, lending them a hand to help them through tough times is a virtuous and noble act. But if you help the lazy or the poor, it will only make them more dependent on you. They become a bottomless pit, eventually draining even you completely. A businessman, after becoming successful, spent a large amount of money to build 258 houses for the poor and elderly in his hometown. It was meant to be a charitable act, helping those in need, and he thought the people there would be deeply grateful. Unexpectedly, they became demanding. "My son is about to get married. One house isn't enough. Our family needs a few more. My family already moved to the city, but I grew up here, so I also deserve a house. You tore down our old house. Besides giving us a new one, you also need to compensate us." Their greed knew no bounds. This deeply troubled the businessman. For 2 years straight, he didn't return home for the Lunar New Year. "Every time I come back, the locals bring up all sorts of issues and demands, so it's better if I just don't return." In the movie The Godfather, there is a line that goes, "Kindness without limits will only encourage the other side to push further. Mercy without principles will only make them ask for the moon after being given the elephant." When kindness has no boundaries or principles, goodwill can turn into resentment, causing the other person to casually accept your kindness and then thoughtlessly trample on your good intentions. When the day comes that you can no longer help them, they will repay you with resentment. That's why you should help those in hardship, not those who are lazy. Help those in urgent need, not those who are simply poor. Even acts of kindness must come with a sense of when to give and when to hold back. 34. Kindness is a virtue, but foolishness is not. At birth, human nature is inherently good. Kindness is inherently part of human nature. It is because of kindness that the world is filled with warmth and hope. But kindness also requires wisdom, a sharp and rational mind. Blind kindness is foolishness. Long ago, there was a Zen master meditating by a river when he suddenly heard a strange sound. It turned out to be a scorpion that had fallen into the water and was struggling to escape. The Zen master reached out his hand to lift the scorpion from the water, but unfortunately, it stung him. He endured the pain, placed the scorpion on the ground, and continued meditating. A while later, the scorpion fell into the water again. The master once more reached out to save it and was stung again. Then the scorpion fell in yet again, and once again the master lifted it out and was stung once more. A fisherman saw this and asked the Zen master, "That scorpion keeps stinging you over and over. Why do you keep saving it?" The Zen master replied, "It is its nature to sting others, and it is my nature to be compassionate." At that moment, the scorpion fell into the water again. Just as the Zen master was about to reach out to lift it up, the old fisherman used a branch to pull it from the water. The scorpion followed the branch and crawled up onto the ground by itself. The old fisherman said, "Compassion is not wrong, but first be compassionate toward yourself. Protect yourself first, then show compassion to all beings." Kindness is a good thing, but it also requires sharpness and wisdom. The human heart is complex, and the world is dangerous. Blind, irrational kindness will only allow the endlessly greedy to push further and give schemers the chance to take advantage. In the end, the one who gets hurt is yourself. This is a piece about the downside of blind kindness. Though life and people are still full of goodness, don't let that cause you to lose your own kindness. However, being wisely kind does not mean being calculating. Give with heart, but it must be worthwhile. At the very least, you must know who truly deserves the kindness you offer. 35. Only when you are truly strong can you save yourself. There was a monkey whose stomach was scraped by a tree branch, causing it to bleed heavily. When it saw another monkey, it pulled open the wound and said, "Look at this, see how much it hurts." Every monkey that saw its wound tried to comfort it and offered different ways to treat it. It kept showing the wound to its friends to ask for advice, and eventually died from the infection. An old monkey said it was the one who brought about its own death. In truth, sharing your pain with others doesn't always solve the problem. It's better to quietly endure and find a way to heal on your own. Even when life gets difficult, you shouldn't pour your heart out to everyone you meet. Face everything with a positive attitude. What matters most is trying to change your current situation. 36. Learn to rely on yourself. There was a bird perched on a branch, never afraid that the branch might break, because its trust was not in the branch, but in its own wings. Instead of worrying about the future, it's better to focus on changing the present. On the road to success, only continuous effort can bring you true security and the greatest rewards. On the path of growth, only you can provide yourself with the strongest foundation and the most reliable support. In the end, rely on a mountain and it may crumble. Rely on people and they may leave. Relying on yourself is the most solid choice. 37. Better to be a little foolish. There were two patients with the same illness. One had very sharp hearing and overheard the doctor saying he only had 3 months to live. The other was a bit hard of hearing. He couldn't even understand people speaking directly to him, let alone eavesdrop on the doctors. Strangely, not only did he survive past the 3 months, but now, 2 years later, he is still doing just fine, while the one with sharp hearing didn't make it past the 3-month mark. In life, there are many things where not knowing is better than knowing. Being slow is better than being sharp. And seeming foolish is better than being too clever. This is the true meaning behind the saying people often repeat, "Better to be a little foolish." In fact, life itself is full of uncertainty. Joy and happiness are often hidden within that very uncertainty. 38. Taking good care of yourself is a way of blessing your children and grandchildren. There was a cleaning lady who signed up for a healthcare plan. Someone asked her, "You earn so little each day. Why spend it on something like this?" She said something that made everyone around her suddenly see things differently. 10 years ago, my father saved $80 million, but he spent it all treating my grandfather's illness. A few years ago, the $200 million I had saved over more than 10 years was also completely used up when my father was hospitalized. I feel like my father and I were nothing more than workers for the hospital. I don't want to end up harming my own child in the future. I don't want my child to become a worker for the hospital like we were. That's why, while I'm still healthy, I must take care of my body and keep it strong. Healthcare may be expensive, but it will never cost as much as medical treatment. Truly a profound realization. 39. Optimism is the greatest asset in life. Ballet was known by everyone as the most optimistic person in the world. One day, a flash flood swept through, and the water surged across the village. Ballet sat on the roof of his house, cheerfully humming a tune. A neighbor rode by and shouted, "Ballet, all your ducks have been swept away." "It's all right, they all know how to swim." "Your wheat has also been completely flooded." "It's all right, the harvest was poor this year anyway." "Oh no, the water's reached your windows." "No problem, I was just thinking about cleaning them. This saves me the trouble." Sometimes an open and optimistic attitude is the greatest asset in life. When you face things with a positive outlook, every hardship or annoyance seems small, and everything suddenly feels as easy as a snap of the fingers. 40. To have a mind as calm as still water, one must learn to let go. A Zen master once said that if a person wants their mind to be as tranquil as water, the key is to release attachments to fame and fortune, and to let go of the disturbances brought by desire and emotion. Therefore, achieving such peace requires the ability to let go. Indeed, in a life filled with constant conflict, many people lack inner peace and mental stability simply because they take themselves too seriously. Only a calm mind can give rise to wisdom. A mind as still as water is a reflection of a higher form of wisdom. In Romance of the Three Kingdoms, there is a well-known anecdote about Zhuge Liang's empty fort strategy during the retreat at Jiding. Upon hearing that Sima Yi was leading 150,000 troops to attack Xisheng, Zhuge Liang had only 2,500 soldiers at his disposal to defend the city. But Zhuge Liang did not panic. With a calm and steady mind, he brought 2 young attendants, held a zither, and sat by the parapet inside the city playing music. When Sima Yi led his army to Xicheng and saw the scene, he was puzzled. He stood in deep thought, listening to Zhuge Liang's peaceful playing for a while, then quickly ordered his troops to retreat. Zhuge Liang's calm, unwavering melody was enough to intimidate Sima Yi into withdrawing.